start, Milicio Magdaloyo, thank you for your valuable time. I just wanted to ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me about yourself, like about as you as a musician. What do you play, and how do you grow up as being a musician?
Okay, well, I was born and raised in San Francisco, public schools. Went to Washington, and it was very vibrant time for music because growing up in the 70s, Sly Stone, Santana, Tower of Power. So I basically came out of funk, and I didn't hear jazz till later. Somebody turned me on to it, and it was straight ahead jazz, like bebop. A senior turned me on to it when I was like a kid in high school, like 15 or something, and then gave me Weather Report, which was like fusion, which was different than smooth jazz because it was really complex and really musical. And growing up, there were a lot of bands, a lot of funk bands, so-called top 40, and a lot of Filipinos playing. So, as a matter of fact, some of them came through state, like Ben Luis and people like that. So it was a natural affinity, because as you probably know, Filipinos are very musical people and just a lot of natural ability. So for me, it was really cool. I started playing by ear, and then I learned how to read when I got to high school. When the director saw that I could play, he said, well, let's teach you how to read. Went from there. So that's where a lot of the Filipino influences came, was when I found later on, probably in my early 20s, I got to meet people like Flip Nunez and Rudy Tinio. So I'd say the center of Filipino American jazz, because these were all people born here, which is different from the people that came over from the Philippines, which was like Boy and now they have the Filipino Jazz Festival. But probably my most important influences were Rudy Tinio, Flip Nunez, Joe Canyon. So that's somebody, if you want to get a lot of information about, you'd have to go, I'd say Stockton's the hub.
Okay.
Definitely, it's definitely Stockton, because they were all out of Stockton. Flip went back to Hawaii, and then he came back here, and he actually played in Azteca, which is really ironic because Azteca, I think they had 3 Filipino keyboard players, George Burbis and George Di Quattro. He might have been Hapa, but
Hapa's okay.
yeah. But Flip definitely was. Flip and Rudy were the main guys because they didn't just teach you music. They taught you about your responsibility, as being good people, and what kind of legacy you want to leave. So from what I saw, it was really good to express yourself and know you're Filipino American and you're in jazz. So I was kind of fortunate because when I started recording, I was in a band called Collage, and we were signed with Solar. So we were with the Whispers. So we're right off the top, we mainstream, which is, so it's kind of tricky because if you're Filipino and then you just get caught with the Filipino thing and then you don't assimilate, it's kind of hard because they put this label on you, Like, that's why it's really cool to have Filipino Jazz Festival now, because it's something that's about us, for us, by us. So, it's really important. And not just for that, but, you see Filipinos, they assimilate everything. Like, I wasn't even aware, but later I found out all the great DJs, Quid, or what's the Pinoy one, and, all these famous Filipino people that Cuban, yeah. Turntables, and and I'm like, I had no idea. So it opened up another realm, Probably the most successful in the mainstream jazz, or I think there's Susan Ibarra. You heard of her?
Susan Ibarra?
Yeah, and then there's a Pinoy sax player out of Chicago, John Irabagon. So when I see them, I'm like, I better check them out and see what they're doing. So she's more kind of, not so much straight ahead, more kind of avant-garde, but he's definitely like a straight up player. so it's really good to see that. And yeah, like I said, in the 80s, it was good because I was recording with like funk bands like the Whispers, Bobby Brown, Confunction. So it was a really vibrant time for music. Yeah. So basically what I did was also there's Vince Gomez. You should know about him because he's I think he's still around. He retired. He taught in the district for years. Vince Gomez, he's a bass player. And I saw a picture of him in the 40s with my mother at the Filipino community, the music, they had a music club, and he looks the same. He's a lot older now. So he's probably in his late 70s maybe, but he's somebody you might want to look into. So that's pretty much, some of the things I did and the people I met and what I try to do. I didn't. I went on tour with John Jang, and I think there was a Kuomintang group at that time with Hallelujah and all them. So there was some merging of that, but I ended up playing more funk and straight ahead, and I'm with a few Latin jazz icons like Pete Escovedo, John Santos, who I still play with, both of them, and so kind of like straight ahead funk and Latin jazz. That's kind of what I did. And I started educating probably, maybe 15, 20 years ago. I actually was a guard here in the 80s, in the late 80s. But I went to state, didn't finish. I ended up going on the road. I did some tours with the San Francisco Mime Troupe. So it's been a fun ride, It's been a fun ride. I'd say keep your Pinoy pride and try to assimilate so that you're in a better position to help, your community and, things like that. I mean, so it's really cool, see Callaway doing so well,
Well, a question that I want to ask you, how would you define what Filipino jazz is?
It's almost like, you almost can't answer that. Because it's what you make it, It's like you can put in some Filipino elements, And I don't know who's really. I think Susan Ibarra uses some instruments, where they incorporate some of that, But there's, as far as I don't know a lot of people that do that so much. The Asian jazz improv people did a lot more blending, like John Jang and Francis Wong and them.
That's the improv.
Yeah, like using Chinese instruments, this and that. But I don't know, there could be people that's doing that. So that's really almost undefinable at this point, but that's definitely something to look into, And there might be somebody that's doing, taking folk songs and converting them, but as far as I know, it's more like Filipinos that play jazz, as opposed to what is Filipino jazz, because it's almost undefinable, because like Filipinos itself, you just assimilate, and then you might have some Ilocano melodies that slip in there that I heard when my grandpa was leading prayers or something, but it's almost undefinable because it's still to be cultured.